Yo guys, what's up and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you all how Cubeatz makes crazy samples in the style of MIGOS and Gunna. So first I'm going to show you all the sample, then I'm going to break it down and show you all how I mixed it. So make sure to stay till the end because I'm going to show you all how to make your samples sound more vintage. Please make sure to like and to comment on this video what you all want to see next. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the post notifications because next week I'm going to drop my stash kit volume 2, which includes all my favorite drum sounds that I used in all my placements and a 99% of my beats. And it includes 20 samples, 30 melody midis and 40 hi-hat midis. So y'all make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter to know when it drops. And as I said, make sure to turn on the post notifications. And yeah guys, let's go. So for the first thing, I had contact with the Olafur Arnold Composer Toolkit with the felt grand piano, and I laid down this pretty simple and repetitive piano pattern, which is basically just this pattern, and it repeats the whole time because I just copied it over. Besides here where I switch it up a bit, I played with the velocities and with the strum just to make it sound more interesting and to make it sound more realistic, and this is how the finished piano pattern is sounding like. And for the effects on this piano, I had this fruity parametric EQ where I just cut out some of the frequencies I didn't like and I cut the lows. Then I had this RC20 for the noise, the wobble, the magnetic and the EQ. Then this J37 stereo with these settings. This Valhalla vintage wrap where I tweaked the mix, the decay and the low cut. This Soothe just to get rid of all the unwanted frequencies. And then this EQ just to cut out the lows to leave some space for the bass. Then for the next thing I had this Korean mallet from Nico Baron's one-shot kit. And I basically just layered the piano with the Korean mallet. And this is how the finished pattern is sounding like. Then after that I rendered this mallet out and put it on the second mixer track. And for the effects on this mallet I had this fruity low filter with the basic 3 preset, then this Padman, this fruity delay with these settings, this Valhalla vintage wrap where I tweaked the mix and the decay, and I had this EQ where I cut out a lot of the lows and some of the highs just to make it sound more vintage and to make it sound more interesting, and I had it 44% in stereo. And this is how the finished mallet with the effects is sounding like. Then for the next thing I had this narco flute from Nico Baron again, and I laid down this pretty simple pattern. It's pretty repetitive besides in the last part, and I just randomized the velocities to make it sound more interesting and to make it sound more realistic, and I played a bit with the strum as you can see right here, and the finished flute pattern is sounding like this. And for the effects on this flute, I just had this RC20 for the wobble, this Valhalla vintage wrap where I tweaked the mix and the decay, this fruity parametric EQ2 just for the low cut and I took out some frequencies I didn't like and boosted the highs a bit, and the Soothe just to get rid of all the unwanted frequencies that were left, and that's basically it for the flute. And for the next thing I had this percloop which is named Bad, which will be included in my stash kit which will drop next week as I said, and I put a few effects on it which I will show you all first and then play the percloop. I just had a simple halftime with basic settings, and this EQ just took out a lot of the lows and a lot of the highs just to duck it more into the background, and I made it pretty quiet, and this percloop is basically just there to give it some texture and to give it some rhythm, and it sounds like this. Then for the last thing for the sample, which is the bass, I had this 80s pad synth from El Haq, and I laid down this pretty basic pattern, just randomized the velocities to make it sound more realistic again, and this is how the finished bass is sounding like. And for the effects on this bass, I just had the simple low cut just to get rid of all the muddy lows. And that's basically it for the bass. Then after that I rendered the sample out, pitched it up by 8, put the declicking mode generic on, the mode on stretch, and I put the sound shifter pitch stereo from Waves on it, where I pitched it down 4 again, and I put the sample rate to 16,000 just to make it sound more vintage and to make it sound more unique, and this is how the finished sample is sounding like. So now just open up the FOP for the beat, and the first thing I did was just dragging in the sample and put the trim knob fully in. Then after that I laid down this pretty simple hi-hat pattern. It has a few rolls, as you can see right here, right there, and so on. And I tried to keep it a bit more simple as the last one, so I just put it in a 2-step and just click on this tool and just drew in rolls where I think they would fit. And this is how the finished hi-hat pattern is sounding like. And by the way, all of these sounds are from my stash kit, so if you want these sounds, make sure to turn on the bell so you will get a notification when the drum kit drops. And for the next thing, I use this Rex rim from my stash kit again, and it's basically just a simple clap pattern, and it sounds like this. Then for the next thing I had this Jacob snare, which I use in almost every beat I make, and I laid down this pretty simple pattern. I just had this triplet right here, then this basic pattern, and I played a bit with the velocities just to make it sound more interesting, and this is how the finished snare pattern with the rim and the hi-hat is sounding like. Then for the second last thing I had this openhat pattern, which is pretty simple as well. I just layered the 808 with these openhats, and the finished openhat pattern is sounding like this. Then for the last thing I had this 808 pattern, and I just laid down these 808s on the root notes from the sample, and I had some rolls here at the end and there at the end, but overall this pattern is pretty simple, and the 808 pattern with the full beat is sounding like this. So yeah guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up and to comment what y'all want to see next. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and to turn on the post notifications. I would really appreciate that. And don't forget, my stash kit will drop next week. Thank y'all for this crazy support. And yeah guys, see y'all.